It has been quite a while since I've done kind of a studio video here. Today we're stacking up the X3. It's really an X3 review. We're gonna throw it against the original Insta360. I've had this like since it came out. You can look back at my videos years ago. I've been using this for a long time, off and on. I should throw that in there. And just for fun, not like a formal GoPro head-to-head or anything, just wanted you guys to see left versus right. How do they do colors, contrast, saturation, all that? Because I actually was kind of surprised when I threw it up against this. Two things I want to answer in this video. Should you upgrade if you have the original? I have not had the X2, so I can't talk about that. Or if you're just flat out looking for a 360 camera, should you buy this? In no way is this video sponsored. That said, for the sake of full transparency, I did work with Insta360 previously. This was probably a year and a half ago. They just sent me these for free. They sent me the Leica and the 1R to play around with. Good cameras. I honestly ended up not using these a ton. I kind of used them pseudo GoPro for a while. They had a good idea, good concept here, but the way it played out, I think you really need a dedicated 360 camera. So let's set those over here and let's focus on the one. I'm gonna keep doing that, sorry. Let's focus on the Insta360 X3 today. All right, so right now we just switched into the single lens mode, which is gonna give us a full 4K image, 4K 30. You can go down to like 3.7K with 60 FPS, 50 FPS. But I'm pretty sure the image quality is gonna be big or decently different here. That's what I'm really curious about, to see the single lens versus dual lens. All right, so against the original, honestly, there's some big leaps and there's some things that are pretty standard. Stay tuned till the end because I will talk about, again, should you upgrade from this to this. Let's start off with this scene so that way you can see a quick snippet of the image and audio quality. Here we have the original. We're walking from dark light right into bright sun. So how's it handling with dynamic range? It's funny because on one side it's shadows. I'm clearly blinking. Let's turn around, see how things are looking. So hands down, you're gonna hear the audio is a lot better on this. Now I will say it's a little boomy for me, but the X3 definitely has way better audio, very usable audio out of camera for what it is. I do have wind noise reduction on, I should mention, in basically all the time. They actually ship it that way, so wind noise reduction is on. That's how we recorded it. Now let's do audio quality, not totally fair, but against the GoPro with the media mod. Right now we got the X3 GoPro Hero 9 Black. This is the 9. Don't have the 10, not gonna spend the money for it. Sorry. This is gonna be the best resolution you're gonna get out of both of these. So 4K over here, 4K 30. So it's 5K on the GoPro. Let's see how the dynamic range is right now with the sun behind my head. Turn it around. Exposure changes. We're looking good. Audio, again, with the media mod on the 9 is probably gonna sound better. Love the media mod. I don't think they make one for the X3, but if they do in the future, I'll probably use it. It doesn't add much size, and I care about audio. But let's see how they sound. How do they sound against one another? Walking around. All right, that's gonna be it. Definitely usable out of here. Color modes. Color modes is another big thing that I'm really happy with on here. Now, throwing it up against this, you have log or regular, standard, whatever you want to call it on here. I used to mess around with log and honestly, it's just not worth it. You're not getting much more color saturation, anything out of it. So a lot of people are basically just shooting in that. So I'm shooting on standard on here. So shout out to Potato Jet. I watched a video of his and he basically recommended shooting in Vivid on here. And so a lot of this was shot in Vivid, and I'm gonna be honest, for me, that might be a little oversaturated. So especially when you're comparing it to this, there is a noticeable saturation difference in the colors. I don't think I'm gonna go back to log or anything, but I might stick with standard on the X3, and you can always add saturation when you're editing later on. But overall, I think the colors are pretty good out of here. The clarity is definitely good. Single view FOV mode. So that's something, let's take a look at this scene. Pretty cool. Honestly, it's a huge FOV, so that's really cool to me. This is using the single lens out of here. You get a 4K image out of it. Really cool. It almost basically replaces the GoPro at that point. You've got a 360 camera and then you can do a single one. And because you've got the screen, you can actually see what's being framed and shot, which is another really cool thing to me. This screen to jump there is huge. Not having the screen on this, it's operable. A lot of people complain about it, especially early on, and I really never had too much of an issue, but let me just say having a screen is much better than not having a screen, let's be honest. So Overall, I would say the screen itself, that's awesome. Great to have it, especially when you want to do something like maybe fully replace a GoPro, add that 360 capability, and then also have a dedicated 4K. Now, I mentioned kind of FOV mode. This has a dedicated FOV mode, and you can take a look here at this scene. The problem is it's crazy wide. It's actually pretty awesome how wide you can get with that. The problem with that is it eliminates all stabilization. So all that needs to be done in Insta360's editing app. Another thing I have a big problem with here, this outputs INSV files, InViz files, proprietary. You can get it to shoot when you're doing single lens mode MP4s. That's awesome. I wish everything would come out of this as MP4. I know they really want you to use their app and use their studio editing thing, but like all my videos are in Final Cut. So all I want to do right away is I basically push this into their Insta Studio as an InViz file and export it as MP4. Because guess what? Final Cut can edit 360 footage. It can do it pretty well. It doesn't have all the whiz bang, the cool stuff that they've got inside of their app. So I get why they want you to use it, but don't force me to, right? The other thing to call out though, in the single frame mode here, it's definitely skewed, right? I looked at it and I was like, why is this so skewed? Now you can unskew it again, but the pixels are captured a certain way. So I was a little frustrated, maybe is not the right word, but it definitely images skewed just so you get that super wide FOV. So that's another thing to call out here is the straight single lens capture on here. It's great that it's MP4, looks good, audio's decent, but it's gonna be a little skewed, which is a little wonky to me. I don't know why. You'd think they'd really have that honed in on their software. Image quality itself. Now they claim these are larger sensors, which, I mean, the lenses at least look the same. I can't see the sensor underneath here, but the lenses look pretty similar. You gotta be semi-careful. I honestly throw these around a lot. I haven't scraped this one. I've had it, again, for 3-4 years now, and I throw it in here when it's in my bag and everything, but like I'll set these down all the time on tables, on things. That's just a reality. You can get screen protectors. I don't wanna mess with all that, and I've had fortunate luck that I haven't actually scraped a screen. Image quality is better. It's not a leap to me. It's not a giant jump. There's a little bit less noise. Their software also does some denoising. You can do that in Final Cut. So that's a little bit nicer, but it still sucks in low light, and it's still a little smushy, especially when you record 5.7K's 360 and you bring it into a 4K frame. Still a little smushy. GoPros are kind of too. GoPros are looking a lot better, especially with some of the software you can do. And the 4K looks pretty good when you do a single lens, but that's one thing I'll say is my hesitation with these 360 cameras is it's still a squishy image. And when you try to incorporate that with real, full frame footage, definitely I don't expect it. Let me pause. I don't expect it to be even close to a full frame, but I want to be able to incorporate stuff. I've thrown cell phone footage. I have incorporated footage even from the GoPros at times with other stuff. I throw my drone. My drone is not a full frame either inside of it, and it looks good. So that's one thing that, to me, 360 cameras hopefully will get to eventually, right? They'll continue to evolve, continue to get better, but the image is good. It's not great. Last but not least, as we're talking about upgrades and comparisons, waterproof. So this is fully waterproof. That's awesome to me. I love to paddleboard. I love to do things like that. This has a lot of exposed holes, like the SD card comes out the bottom. That is, to me, a big advantage is having the waterproofing on here. So that brings us down to two critical questions. Should you upgrade from the One X, and should you just flat out buy this if you don't own a 360 camera already? Upgrade question. Honestly, probably not. If you have the X2, which I have never touched, I can't imagine there's a big leap. Even for these, I don't use them enough. If you're using a 360 camera all the time and you have this, yeah, probably worth it to you. But otherwise, I mean, audio quality is big. That alone might be enough, but it depends how you're using your 360 footage. Usually I'm incorporating it in a creative way and I'm not actually using the audio that's gonna be out of the camera itself. Waterproofing, if waterproofing is a deal breaker or game changer for you, I should say, then yeah, that could be a reason to upgrade, but they're asking a lot of money. I mean, $450 just to upgrade. If you're expecting way better image quality, it's not there yet. I'm hoping in the future iterations, what I think you should do is probably hold out. I'm hoping the one after this, whenever that'll be, a year, 2 years from now, we'll have kind of a jump forward in image quality, but right now these are very, very similar in image quality. And if that's what matters to you, I'm honestly probably not gonna recommend you upgrade. So should you just flat out buy this? If you want a 360 camera, if you don't have an action camera, if you want an action camera, I definitely think so, yes. Right, this is assuming you've never worked with 360 footage or very slimly, you don't have your own 360 camera, you need an action camera. There's a lot of creativity you can pull out of 360 cameras. There's a big reason why I love this. I did a video on why that old one was king, and there's so much cool stuff, especially when you incorporate this stick. You can do kind of a fake drone image and shot. It is the reality case for me where I get all these creative ideas and all this stuff in my head, and then I don't always end up using it. It's just easier a lot of times to film on my main camera, and honestly, the image is gonna look leaps and bounds better. But when you need that creative shot, like if you're in an enclosed space, if you wanna hold the pole out and put it through something, Casey Neistat's done this a lot recently, and it's funny to me because every shot he does on 360, and I do believe they're sponsoring him, just to throw that out there, it's obvious. It adds to his story. He's an incredible storyteller, but it's obvious that the quality all of a sudden like dropped down significantly to get this creative shot, and now it goes back to his normal camera. So once you're at a point where you can incorporate that seamlessly, that's where I think these are just gonna be sold like crazy. But again, going back to that fundamental question, I know I'm kind of knocking it here. I do think these are awesome cameras. And yeah, if you don't have a 360 camera, you're on the fence. This is gonna be the best one you can get on the market right now. You can't go wrong. So that's gonna do it. It's been a while since I've done camera gear and tech reviews. These are always fun for me, especially comparisons, because I try to answer these for myself, and then I can obviously share all that with you out there. Let me know what you think. If you do wanna see like more formal, actual comparisons with these, I'm happy to do that. I just wanted to do kind of stub comparisons for now. Hit that thumbs up if you found this helpful. Subscribe if you want to see more. Got a lot of content going on the channel. And as always, it's been a pleasure, and I'll see you next time. Notice this crazy antenna coming out of me right now.